Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the First Point USA webinar today. We are delighted to be joined by Ayeisha McFerran, and we'll talk a little bit more about her journey as we go. By way of introduction, my name's Duncan, Head of Marketing here at First Point USA, hosting today's webinar. And as I say, we are very grateful that Ayeisha's joined us this morning, a former First Point client, now First Point, part of First Point's team member of staff, looking after our field hockey athletes. Ayeisha is an alum of University of Louisville, or however it's pronounced, and we'll talk about that during the webinar as well. Lots of different pronunciations for her particular university. Ayeisha is also an Ireland international, played at the Tokyo Olympic Games, which we'll talk about as well, and also a World Cup silver medalist back in 2018, and looking forward to the next World Cup with Ireland. So great having someone of Ayeisha's stature and profile and experience on the webinar today, and we thought this would be the best way of giving aspiring field hockey players an insight into what life is like as a field hockey player in the States. So if you've got aspirations to be going out there in the next couple of years, you're in no better hands than hearing it from Ayeisha and hearing all about her journey. So just a bit of housekeeping then. We've got a chat box on the platform with us. So if you've got any questions, just feel free to pop them in the conversation box, and we'll ask any relevant questions towards the end. And hopefully from the questions I'm going to be asking, you'll glean a lot of information and insights just about how it all works and what you could expect when you're out there. So yeah, great to have you on this morning, Ayeisha. As I said, I guess to kick things off then, why did you choose to go to the States in the first place? You were obviously a talented player back in Northern Ireland with a few different options at your disposal. So talk us through your choice of going to America.
Hi, everyone, to begin with. But for me, there were so many reasons why I didn't want to study in the UK, which to begin with, the thought of going into thousands of debt, the thought of, just there's so many different elements and like trying to, struggle with my A levels and everything. I wasn't maybe the most academic, but I wanted to further my education. So I heard of a few girls in the few years ahead of me heading to the US to study and play field hockey over there. And when I'm 15, 16, all I wanted to do was play hockey. That was my big focus. And in the States, everything is like geared towards student athletes. So I looked into it a bit more. I actually remember I was sitting in like my A-level ICT class, like on the computers, looking up like colleges in the States. Just for me, I wanted another option. I didn't want to be tied down. And then ultimately, started the conversation, reached out to First Point, and then I was like, this looks like something I'd be really interested in.
Great. And that was the start of your journey. And I listened to your podcast recently, and you obviously had a few choices. Initially, Michigan being one of them, and you can tell the story about going out there. But I guess talk us through some of the options that you did have and why you decided to go to Louisville.
I was actually really fortunate that I had quite a few colleges reach out to me from all three levels, so D1, D2, and D3. I didn't really know much about the system out there, to be honest. You've heard of the big schools, like you would hear of like the UNC, the Michigan, etc. So I was in contact with Michigan to begin with. It was quite early on in my recruitment process. Was invited out to go visit them. Absolutely fell in love with the place. It was so cool. There's so much. You're just welcome onto campus with other recruits who are there. Most of them were US girls. I was the only foreigner in that recruit group. And it was just insane. Like you see all the facilities, you see what the coaches can offer, you see the university and how it looks so, I don't want to say, it's just so American. It's what you see in the movies and you're just really like, oh my word, this is amazing. So ultimately I agreed to go to Michigan, got pulled into my national team quite young. And then there was the conversation was had of, what's going to happen? Like, do I stay with the national team? Do I go to college? Ultimately, I was like, I want to further my education. I want to live in America. I want to have this opportunity. I knew I could always come home if that was the case, but I didn't want to miss out on it. In the end, that didn't work out. I think the coaches in the US got a bit nervous, so they ended up going after someone else. But fortunately, that weekend, Louisville was playing at Michigan, so I got to see them, and everyone kind of heard that the Michigan thing didn't go through. So we started reaching out to colleges again to see. And I was kind of between this, I don't want to go to America, I just got screwed, versus it's an amazing opportunity. I want to play hockey out there. I want to live in another country. So yeah, Louisville, whatever we call it these days. They got back in contact. I was really fortunate that the assistant coach had contacts in Ireland at the time. And I started a conversation with them, and it ended up going, really well, really quick. And next thing I know, I'm off on a plane to Louisville in Kentucky.
Brilliant. And I guess when you first went out there, we often talk about the kind of the step up, I guess, between being an athlete back home but becoming a student athlete. So what was the sort of training structure like when you first moved out there, and did you find that a big step up to what you were used to back in Ireland?
It was a huge step up. I can't emphasize how much of a step up and how much of a change it was. In Ireland, I would have trained with my club team twice a week. I went to the gym maybe once if it felt like it. And then with the national stuff, we would play either on the weekends, Sunday, Monday, if it was during off the club season, or another time. But when I get to Louisville, you're straight into it. You're into the thick of preseason, because hockey is a full sport. So you end up going quite early in August. You have preseason, which is kind of officially 2 weeks, but depending on when you go, you can have a little bit longer. And it's hell. I'm not gonna lie about it. It's one of the toughest things still to this day that I've ever done. The 2 weeks of preseason it's intense. You're for us, we trained in the morning with field hockey, so you're on the grounds, you're in the changing room at 6:30 in the morning, and you're there probably 3-4 hours. You have a double session, you have a gym, so it's long. It's intense. You're into the thick of it straight away. But ultimately, it's because you're bringing together such a unique group of individuals, and the coaches have the challenge of, okay, how can I make a team out of this group? Which is why a lot of the recruitment process, they look at the type of person you are as well as the type of athlete you are. For me, it's definitely thrown in at the deep end. And as a goalkeeper, I wouldn't say I was the biggest fan of running now, to be honest. Still wouldn't be the biggest fan of running, but you learn a lot, and you're really into the thick of it straight away.
And what was the makeup of your team like then, when it comes to different nationalities? Was it mainly Americans, or was a lot of different internationals on the team?
I was quite fortunate that at Louisville there was quite a lot of other internationals. So the head coach, she's Australian. She used to play for Australia. She was the goalkeeper there. And then the assistant coach, whenever I was there at the time, he's from Venezuela, but had points in Europe as well. So he was in Ireland also quite a bit. So quite an international staff group, which then brought the side of they understood the internationals more. So they were able to bring them in. I remember, I think my first year, there was a girl from England, a girl from Chile, a girl from New Zealand. And then every year from that, there was then Germans, Dutch, Australians, Spanish, for everywhere. So I was really fortunate that I had a lot of internationals on my team. It made it easier to kind of fit in, because they understood as an international what you're coming into, and helped to try and guide you in that sense, which was really nice, because I also do know other girls who have went and they've been the only international athlete on their team. So for them, they found it quite tough. But it's one of those things you have to be quite open to experience new cultures and understand, how many different people come together and things like that. But I was lucky that I had quite a lot of foreigners with me over there.
Absolutely. And we talk a lot about First Point, the strength and the scale of the facilities out in the States at different colleges and universities. What were the facilities like at Louisville that you had both for training and playing?
Still to this day, one of the best I've ever played at. at the time, there's no professional sports team in Kentucky. So the two colleges, so there's us and the University of Kentucky. We were the two big teams. So everything, like all the sports facilities were amazing. So we had our own locker room, changing room. So cool. You walk in and I remember, there's like a pit that you can like go down and sit in. You've all got your own locker. Your kit is like stored in another place. People come and do your laundry. You take it down, take it up. We were also really lucky that our gym, which a lot of the Olympic sports would use, was right beside our field hockey pitch. So we didn't actually have to go too far, which was really nice. But again, we had turf pitch, stands that were built on top of the building. It was just, it's weird. Like, it's insane how they just made it work and just added steps up literally to the roof and had stands up there. Our gym, our weightlifting facility had over 20 squat racks. There was a track, like one of those sled tracks. It was just, it's an athlete's dream. Whenever I was there, I was just, still to this day, like I've went back and I just would go there and train because it's, an amazing environment to be in.
Sounds great. And you talked earlier about not being as academic maybe as some other people, but obviously going out there, you've got to do both. And we always say it's the best of both worlds, but the most challenging of both worlds. How did you find that balance between training and studying, and did you feel that you adapted to that over the 4 years that you were out there?
Initially, it was tough because if you think about it, if you're going outside playing 3-4 hours and training in the morning, like you're getting up at the crack of dawn, you're going, you're straight away at your facility. And then after that, you have to be in class at 11 a.m. Like I had classes starting every semester. So it was tough, like trying to stay awake. That was probably one of the last things I wanted to do was after my training, go to class. But you have to, you're there as a student athlete, and they prioritize that you're a student first before you're an athlete, which for me it was tough to accept that, but it was really important. You have to, because you have to achieve a certain GPA to keep your scholarship. So if you don't do that, then you risk your athletic place, still being there. So it definitely did take time. There's a lot of times because the system is quite different to the UK. For me, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was one of those people that I was like, I'm just going to play hockey for the rest of my life. So going out there, I was fortunate that because of the way it's set up, where you might not have to specialize or pick your major until your third year, that I could try out different subjects, see what I liked, see what I didn't like, maybe see what I was good at first. But it definitely, it took time getting that process right, and making sure that, I did eventually become the student first, then the athlete.
And what did you study? What did you major in?
My final major was health and human performance science, and then I minored in sports administration. I was actually going to do it the other way around, but for me, I enjoyed the science side more. But there was, I think I dabbled a bit in marketing, dabbled a bit in like art to try and figure out my major. So classic athlete going towards the sports route. But there's so many other internationals on my team who studied engineering. They did art, business was a big one at our school. So there's lucky that I had a lot of options like that.
Yeah, and having a degree at the end of your 4 years made it all worth it, certainly.
Definitely, the piece of paper. That's all I say. Go and get the piece of paper.
Great. And you obviously played at the top level of NCAA Division I. Can you tell us about the structure of the playing season and how that sort of evolves from the fall through to the springtime?
Yeah, so as I said, the field hockey season's in the fall. So you come in August, straight away you're into preseason, and then all of a sudden it's season. You normally play 2 games a week. So you would normally play Friday, Sunday. You might be at home one weekend, and then the following weekend you might be away. And actually the NCAAs have just, the Final Fours have just finished there recently for the field hockey. So the season's really short. It's September, October, and then mid-November. So that's a kind of generic season. But then you also have your conference stuff that you need to get into that. So there's ACC, Big Ten, Big East, A10. I think there's quite a lot of conferences that play hockey. And so within that, you also have your regular season competition, which is kind of like your cup games over in the UK. And then at the end, depending on ranking, and that in itself is so confusing, but depending on ranking, you get invited to play in the NCAA tournament or not. So you might have to qualify by winning your conference to get into it. Or else if you have a good enough record already throughout the full semester, then you can qualify straight away. But it is really short and really intense, but like it's amazing. You're traveling all over the country to play a game of hockey, which is a dream. But then whenever you compare that to the spring, it's very different. Spring is a lot about getting stronger, getting fitter, developing your tactical and technical awareness. In the fall season, you have 20 hours. The coaches can have 20 hours with you, but then in the spring that changes. So they're only allowed a certain amount of contact, but then towards the end of spring, you will play tournaments, which is actually really fun. You kind of play 2 or 3 games a day for 3 days over kind of 3-4 weekends. So yeah, it's very different, and it is really challenging. Again, probably one of the hardest things that I've had to overcome as an athlete and experience that. And yeah, you really, you have to dig deep. You really got to figure out who you are in those moments and that it's right for you. But for me, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. It made me who I am, and made me the athlete who I am today doing the springs.
Yeah. I think first point, I've got three athletes in the national final at Princeton this year. So we look forward to seeing how the girls get on in a couple of weeks' time at the final. So what were your own personal highlights during your 4 years playing college field hockey then?
Oh, so many. I was fortunate to be part of a really, really good group. We were kind of young coming through. We were we were the first field hockey team at Louisville to make it past the first round of the ACC tournament. So for those that might not understand, the ACC is probably the biggest in terms of field hockey. It's got UNC, Virginia, Duke, Louisville's in there, Stanford's now in there. So it's in terms of quality, that's the overall conference is probably the strongest. So playing against those teams and getting past the first round, being part of the first team in our school's history to get past that was pretty amazing. Making it, I think, 3 years in a row to the NCAA tournament. Again, there's only, I think, 16 teams or something that make the NCAA tournament. So in field hockey, that's nothing. There's 70 teams in the country and only 16 make it. So it's really, really tough. So to make it 3 years in a row is something that we as a group have always been really, really proud of. There's so many moments as a team like that, which are, unbelievable. And I was fortunate again to have so many individual accolades from, like 4-time All-American, ACC goalkeeper of the tournament, like different moments like that where, my team really supported me and helped me get on. So something I'm pretty proud of to have done over there.
Yeah, some great achievements to look back on, certainly. And I guess you talked again about having offers from the different divisions. It's maybe worth just trying to explain to the audience the differences between D1, D2, and D3 and how it all works. I guess you had experience of playing teams from other divisions as well. So it's not a kind of set in stone that D1's way better than the others all the time, is it?
No, not necessarily. Not at all. I've heard of quite a few girls who have actually rejected offers from D1 schools because it just wasn't right for them, and they ended up going to D2 school based on personal preference, connection with coaches, and what they maybe wanted to study. I would say probably the facilities at D1 tend to be the strongest, but that's because you've got all the big money schools involved in that. But between D1, D2, and D3, they're all very talented. They all look for the same sort of fit, strong, aggressive style of play. That doesn't change across the board. They want people who are good people first, and then will be a good teammate second. So again, none of that changes. I've seen some very, very skillful D2, D3 players who could easily have played D1, but again, just chose what's right for them. So there are subtle differences here and there, I think, in terms of scholarship packages and and things like that with regards to D2 and D3. I'm not 100% sure in those, but yeah, there's definitely, it all comes down to kind of who you connect with most, what school you connect with most. Depends on what league you go to.
And speaking of playing levels, then you've obviously played all over the world. You've played club hockey, international hockey, professional hockey now, college hockey. Where does college hockey or D1 college hockey sit then in terms of the kind of playing standards, levels of play, and that sort of thing from your experience?
I think, again, for me, because I was fortunate to play on a very good team, teams wanted to play us as well. So we always had a big target on us, but it meant that we were week in, week out playing quality opposition. I was never standing alone in the goal doing nothing. I was always really, really busy. But in terms of the different levels around, I would say it's similar, if not slightly better than club hockey in the UK. You're constantly being challenged technically and tactically whenever you're playing, but also you have all the other aspects of off the field, which make it harder to manage. When you play club hockey in the UK or in Ireland, you tend to just kind of roll up to your club training, kind of show up, have a bit of fun, and then like have a bit of fun at the weekend. And don't get me wrong, the US, it can be a lot of fun, but it's a lot more professional than what the club systems in the UK and Ireland would be. It's a lot more, I don't want to say do or die, that makes it seem very extreme, but it's a lot more competitive from the point of view that everyone is out to beat out to beat you. Everyone's out to beat everybody, and everyone can on any given day. It's very close, the margins between the teams. So it'd definitely be up there with the club level in the UK and Ireland.
And you talked about the fitness aspect when you first went over in that tough 3 weeks of pre-season. Would that be one of the big differences as well between, the step up from a good school or a good club team to moving to the States?
Yeah, 100%. Everyone, I think in all sports, you can kind of say that the US is going to be really intense, really fit, really strong. And you see that with how a lot of their athletes play, but it's how their system is done. You have to be fit and robust and strong to go out there because you end up playing so much field hockey. You need to be fit and strong so that you can survive that. Ultimately, we all want to play. We all want to play every single day, every weekend. And then ultimately you want to start and you want to play the most minutes. But to do that, you actually have to be fit, strong, and healthy to do so. And a lot of coaches see that as a performance indicator. A lot would be kind of ranked on that based on like fitness scores with, say, a beep test, strength stuff in the gym, whether it be like squats, jumps, pull-ups, everything across the board. So yeah, that is one of the absolute huge differences between club systems, school systems in the UK and going out to college in America. But the good thing about the stuff out there is, yes, it's hard and yes, it's intense, but one, you have a group of team, like a whole group that you're doing it with. But then you also have like really qualified strength and conditioning coaches who are there to actually give you a program if needs be. And yeah, as a goalkeeper, I don't run a lot. I was really fast once or twice, but I sat down with a S&C coach then at the time, and she really helped me develop a plan that was kind of specific to me as a goalkeeper and how I compare myself in the goal. So they work round and they push you to your absolute limits. Don't get me wrong. There's times where I've cried, but we all cry these days, so it's okay. But you get the reward for it when you're able to see that transfer into how you play.
That's great insight. Thanks for sharing that. And obviously, when you went out there, you were already part of the Ireland national program, and I think you'd broken into the senior team already before the age of 18. For anyone on the webinar that's part of a national program, was it easy enough to kind of stay in touch with the team? Were your coaches still communicating with you, and would that be something that, if you're from Scotland, England, Australia, you can still be part of the national program but play college field hockey?
It's definitely becoming more of a conversation. I think coaches now, especially youth international, so whether that's under 18, under 21s, even seniors, they're seeing the benefit of the life the life choices in itself. So getting a really good education, developing yourself as an individual first. National coaches are also seeing the benefit of the programs out there. So the quality of hockey in the US is getting so much stronger. You can see that with their national team at the moment. But then you also have the individual development aspect as well. So there's so many different areas which college coaches are now open to the idea of that. I've had experiences in the past where I've seen girls get dropped from their national programs, but that comes from a lack of understanding and a lack of awareness with coaches. And what I found for me that really helped was just having conversations with the coaches. I shared my thoughts, and that I felt it's going to benefit me in whatever way. So I think for me, it was life choices. I would regret it if I didn't try it. I knew I could always come home. It's challenging conversations, but it's stuff like that that's really important. And it shows your national coaches that you're almost mature enough to manage this double setup, because you're the only one who knows both sides of the story. You're the only one who understands the national program and the college system. So you as an individual need to really hone in and take control of that. And that was something that I found I ended up doing a lot, because I would then say at Christmas I'd come home, train with the national team. I'd maybe go back a week or two later in January, but I've already spoken to, say, my professors about that. I've spoken to both coaches about that. And when I would go back, same as spring break, I might have an international camp in England during spring break. So all the girls are going off on their holidays to Mexico or Cancun or where, like, all over, but I'm flying back for training, because I pinpointed that as a moment in my calendar in the university when I'm off school, I'm off classes, I don't have training, I can tie it in with the national team. So there are different elements like that can make it work. It is really difficult, but it's ultimately, if it's something that you're striving for to reach that next level of becoming an international athlete, it's something that, you need to kind of take control of, and there's no better time starting than the present to do that.
That's great advice. I'm sure you sacrificed quite a lot, and spring break being one of them, you must have been a bit gutted about that, but ultimately playing for your country must have meant a lot to you as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think between spring break and Thanksgiving, didn't have one of them.
And so for aspiring hockey players on the webinar then just now, what would your sort of main bits of advice be for anyone kind of thinking about the States if they've maybe got 1 or 2 years before they finish high school?
Definitely look into it and look into all options. There's absolutely no harm in having a conversation with college coaches, people who've went over there in the past, who have experienced it, good and bad. It's important to understand not every experience is the right experience for you. I was fortunate that I had 4 years in Louisville in a really good environment. I made so many friends there, but it wasn't going to be the right place for everyone. I've had girls that have come and left after 1 year, but the best thing about it is, one, when you go, you can always come home, but it's just about finding the right place for you. I loved it. I recommend everyone to go and experience America. Yes, there's so many crazy things going on out there, but it is somewhat to an extent of what you see in the movies. Athletes are kind of like the boss on campus, which is a bit cool. You get a lot of things kind of set up for you. You get an extra Christmas whenever you get your gear drop. But it's just, look into it and have the conversations. Ask the simple questions, because like I went over there kind of naive to everything, thinking that I'd be fine, like no problem, I'll deal with whatever comes at me. But there was a lot of things that took me by surprise, because I just didn't even think to ask. And maybe sometimes, you don't know what questions to ask. So it's just trying to find people that you can just have open conversations with, and really explore what journey is the right one for you.
And that communication with coaches element is very important, clearly. So I guess from your insight then, what would a coach be looking for in a potential recruit? 'Cause it's clearly you've got to have the talent, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, 100%. They'll be able to tell very easily from your clips, from your footage and whatnot, if you've got the talent, if you'll fit in with their systems and how they want to try and play. But they actually a lot of times they look for the type of person and the type of people that will fit better in their team, more than anything. So I know from my experience, because my coach was international, she wanted someone who was, yes, going to be willing to be open and buy into the US system. It's so different, but you have to commit yourself to that element. They want someone who's going to be proactive, who's going to stay on top of their skill work. They're going to be able to balance, going on travel weekends, getting their school work done, and getting all their training, recovery, nutrition right as well. They want to make sure that they're getting a good human and a good person first, because for them that's a priority. They don't want to coach someone who comes over with a really bad attitude, that isn't open to the US system, that doesn't want to work hard, do the fitness, be open with their teammates. That's not what a lot of the coaches want. So yeah, it's trying to think and trying to be the best person, best human that you can be for that system.
Great. Good advice again. So we've just got a few more questions to ask. But again, if you've got any of your own questions you'd like to pose, feel free to pop them into the chat box and we'll ask them in a few minutes' time at the end of the interview. So you graduated then after your 4 years, Ayeisha. You've moved into professional hockey. What has that journey been like? I guess there will be, again, people on the call who want to follow in your footsteps and take that leap after school or after university. What's it been like being a professional hockey player and playing full time? It's
the best thing in the world, but it's the most chaotic and most crazy thing in the world. I'm fortunate, as you've said, to have pretty much straight away after America I graduated and I moved to the Netherlands to play over here. So I've been playing I played in the Netherlands for 6 years, still live here. I would class this as my home. But yeah, it's a step which I didn't think was going to be huge, but I'm thankful that I had the US stuff to support me in that, in terms of like living away from home, being proactive with myself, balancing and trying to figure out who I am as an individual and as life. But yeah, playing hockey essentially for my career at the moment is amazing. I know because I've got my piece of paper that because I've got my degree, I can just focus now on playing. I always have that to fall back on. But yeah, it's amazing. Like what I thought as a kid was just going to be like a fun hobby at the weekend to play with my friends, I'm now doing for a full-time job. I'm really, really fortunate in that. And it's, definitely a lot of work has gone in to get me to this spot.
Absolutely. And have many of your teammates gone into the professional game, or have they kind of gone down their academic backgrounds for their careers?
No, a lot of us now are playing playing professional. So I have there was a lot of us who also studied in the US. A lot of girls in the national team. I think at one point there's probably 10 or 11 of us that studied over there at some point in some capacity. And then came back. So we have quite a few girls playing in Belgium at the minute. 2 are playing in Spain, 1 in Netherlands, 1 in England. We've had girls go play in Australia, girls go play in New Zealand, in India. So again, like we're really fortunate that hockey is a worldwide sport. It can give you so many different journeys to go on and go and play everywhere. So a lot of us have taken the opportunities where we can to go and keep playing around the world where we can.
Fantastic. Obviously, coming from a strong program, great to see so many of you progress into the professional game. And I wanted to ask you about your links with Red Bull. You became a Red Bull ambassador, a fantastic brand to be associated with. How did that come about then? And I guess what advice maybe would you have for athletes who are now in the NIL era? You were just before that, I think, but the chance to earn money through sponsorships and endorsements and that sort of thing.
Yeah, again, really fortunate Red Bull came on. I'm a Red Bull athlete, and that happened after the 2018 World Cup. So it was kind of all while I was like still in America. I graduated in 2019. So the summer of 2018, I had the World Cup, and it was actually really fun because, one, we did really well. No one was expecting it, but my college coach was there at the time. She came over because there was me and a girl on the US team who was playing in that tournament. So she came to watch us play together. She ended up staying the whole tournament because we had got to the final. Like she flew back the day before preseason. So it was all crazy. So I was fortunate I had a really good kind of breakout tournament there, international level. Red Bull kind of got whiffed of it. And then, yeah, they now pretty much own my head. So it's nice now that the US system or the college system over there has brought in that sponsorship element and allow you to have those deals. When I was there, that wasn't the case. Zero things were allowed. So yeah, because hockey can be it's a worldwide sport. Most countries play it in some capacity. So there's a lot of market out there. And if you become a better athlete, a better human, a lot of brands will see that. And ultimately brands want to connect with good athletes. So yeah, it's just kind of about promoting yourself in the best way possible.
Thanks for that. And I think I heard again on your podcast, you'd been out to Red Bull HQ as part of your rehab. That sounded like a great experience over there in the Austrian mountains.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's up there with facilities that I've seen in America and experienced in America. Again, it's an athlete's dream. I was just able to go focus on my rehab, and yeah, it was kind of between the transitions of like snow season into the summer. So yeah, I was really fortunate to go and spend quite a few weeks over in the Austrian mountains, just rehabbing, focusing on myself.
Brilliant. And we can't let you go before the end of the interview without talking about the Olympics, representing your country in Tokyo in 2021. Give us some of your insights about your experience of representing your country in an Olympic Games.
I've been asked this question quite a lot, and I find it really hard because it's everything that I dreamed as a child. I wanted to go and represent my country. I wanted to go to an Olympic Games. The next step is I want to win a medal. Unfortunately, Tokyo was the COVID game, so we were playing in amazing facilities, huge stands, huge environment, and there wasn't anyone there watching us. So that was a huge loss. But to being able to pull on the Olympic Ireland jersey, hear Ron Levine playing, it was amazing experience and something that I will never ever forget. And hopefully come LA we'll be able to do it again.
You'll be able to bring a bit of American support with you then next time around, hopefully, and a few of the Cardinals fans making the journey across to LA, hopefully in 2026.
Hopefully that'd be lovely.
So I've got a question just come in then. And I don't know if you've had experience of this, but someone's asking if you can still play college hockey as a grad student at the age of 23. Did you have any grad students on your roster?
Yeah, we actually had quite a few. Kind of every year, one or two came in. I think at 23, she was still. I vaguely remember someone who, like one of the older girls, I called her really. I said at the time she was really old, but it's because I was 18 and she was 23, I think. So yeah, it's 100% possible, 100% as a grad student, go and do it. The good thing about being a grad student and doing it is you just have to do the fall, especially if you're going for a 1-year program. You go and do the fall, so all the fun, you play like a lot of hockey and do your studies, but then you don't have to do the spring. So yeah, the spring, as a senior in the spring, you don't actually have to join the team because it's all about essentially building the team for the following year. So yeah, as a grad student, it's probably the best of all because you get to have the fun. You don't have to do some of the hell work to go with it. We'll I'll pop a registration link on the chat just now as well, and if you register and put out your details, we can get in touch with you to discuss potential opportunities. Another question, just wondering what it's like balancing social, athletic and academics all at the same time. I know you kind of touched upon that earlier, but I guess we never touched upon the social elements. So it's obviously a real mix and melting pot of things you're going to have to doing. How enjoyable, but how challenging was that whilst you were a student athlete? It's difficult. I'm not going to lie. It's really, really difficult to balance all three. We always kind of joke that you could have two of them, not three. But no, it is possible. I was quite old school and I love a good planner. I love writing everything down in like blocks and saying, okay, well, like this is my study time. This is when I'm training. This is when I need to do my recovery or my rehab. And then like say most of the time in the evenings, I was quite free. I ended up coaching a local club in the evening. So I was able to go and make some extra cash there. Because you got to live and you're going to have money to have that social life. So again, I was really fortunate that my team, we all got along. So we always did quite a lot of things together, whether that was going out for dinners. We always had our like 2 favorite spots we always went to. Going downtown. Louisville had a really good downtown area, quite loud and fun. When you become of age over there, there's a lot of elements too. So that's maybe more the grad students who might be applying, but it is definitely possible. You spend so much time with your team that you actually become really, really close with them. And honestly, they talk about having a big sister, so someone in the year ahead of you who will help guide you and share experiences, and you can ask questions. And I was lucky that I really, really I got really close with them, and they ultimately are still some of my best friends to this day.
That's great. Thanks for that. Great. Well, I think that's all the questions that we've covered, most of them. Again, feel free to reach out to the team at First Point USA. We have Ayeisha on board as part of our team now. We have Laura Lewis, part of our team who looks after field hockey and our Olympic sport athletes as well. So there's plenty of support, advice and insights available to you. So as I said, I've popped the link to register with us on the chat. If anyone wants to get in touch, just put your details in there, and we'll connect with you after that. So Ayeisha, I guess just to kind of sign off then, your final word on being a field hockey player in the States. I guess it would be something you would recommend to all aspiring players just to at least look into.
100%. I always say to everyone I'm chatting to, if you have an inkling that it might be something you might like, look into it. It's just about finding the right journey for you. It's about finding the right college and the right people to connect with when you're out there. But you have to look into it. You have to explore the option. As I've always said, you can always come home if it's not the right spot for you. But if you don't look into it, then it's going to be, you don't want to look back in 5-6 years down the line and have regrets. That's how I always look at it. So it's definitely one of the best things that I've done, and I would recommend it to everyone.
Great, and a good way to sign off. So thanks everybody for joining us today. We hope you found that of value and insight in listening to Ayeisha's experience. Obviously, she's been there, played at the highest level, and continues to do so as well. So it's been great having you on the call this morning with us. Some really interesting stories and experiences, and we look forward to following your journey even further. Also worth subscribing to Ayeisha's podcast, Unboxed. Some really great interviews on that. So have a look on Spotify or wherever you find your podcasts, and definitely worth listening to a few of those episodes. So thanks for everybody's time. Thanks to Ayeisha for her time. We will share a recording of this for everybody who registered, so you can catch up on any parts you missed or want to go over again. And we'll put a couple of different other elements within that email, just so you've got a few other things that you can look at as part of your research. So thanks again, and we'll see you all soon, hopefully. Thank you.